I'm just going to butt right in.
Whoa, did someone just break the fourth wall? Let's hear it.
Hey, thank you so much for going through this data. I actually want to learn a little bit more about, what are the top 3 highest risks? Okay, if you're in B2B customer success or sales, you're going to want to listen to this. If you're like me as a revenue leader, you probably have tons of data you're looking at on a weekly basis. So you're probably looking at pipeline review, forecasts, churn reports, CSAT, NPS, all of these different things. You're looking in Salesforce, Tableau, Zendesk, all this different data sources trying to get a key picture. And what would be most helpful, I know for me, is getting some sort of executive summary, collating all of that information into a very easily digestible format. And that's exactly what NotebookLM is today. So what we're going to do today, we're just going to learn how we can take multiple sources of data, put it into NotebookLM, use NotebookLM to summarize that data and actually give us an audio, or you'll see a podcast format of an executive summary of talking about, hey, these are your top risks. These are the top deals in your pipeline. These are the things you should be watching out for. This is what happened last week. So imagine getting something this weekly that you can just listen on your commute, your train ride home, your car ride home, whatever it might be, every Friday, Monday, getting these weekly audio reports about everything that's going on in your business, pooling all of the data that you're looking at on a weekly basis already, saving you a ton of time. So without further ado, again, this is going to be totally unedited, totally raw. We're going to do it live. We can do it in under 5-10 minutes. We'll see how long it is. I'm mostly too lazy to edit, but it's just going to be very raw so that you can see everything, when we can just do it live together. So let's just jump right in. The first thing you're going to want to do is go to NotebookLM. Now, NotebookLM is free, so you don't have to worry about anything there. Go to NotebookLM. You want to create new, so creating a new notebook. Then it's going to prompt you to upload your sources. So a point on the sources that you have. NotebookLM is relatively new. So right now it only accepts PDF, text, Markdown, and audio. Now, obviously, if you're like me, a lot of your reports and data is going to be in spreadsheet format. That's okay. We can export that into PDF. It also has links to Google Drive, so you can see that it's attached to your Google Docs, slides, links. You can even put in YouTube videos or even entire websites and just paste plain text. Now, as you can see, the source limit is 50. This is why NotebookLM is huge for research right now. Students, professors, people doing doctorates and thesis, they use NotebookLM as one of the biggest super users. Now, as we're going to see today, it can be leveraged in the B2B context. Now, one of the reasons why I feel so strongly about that is because NotebookLM, unlike ChatGPT or DeepSeek, it has a lot less hallucinations, right? So it's going to be more confined to the data sources you upload and not use the web as its main source of research or anything along those lines. So you're going to find that the AI hallucinates a lot less because it's more so confined to what is the data that it's using as its main knowledge base. One of the main reasons I really like NotebookLM, again, for this use case of distilling and pulling summaries out of data. So the next step here is we want to get data sources, right? So it's up to you to think about what data you want to do. In this case, I want to create a notebook that's more customer success oriented, revenue customer success, so focusing on post-sale revenue. And a lot of that data that I'm going to be looking at is things like this, Gainsight risk review. So this is all dummy data, obviously. So you have your customers, and this would be what an example export, very simple export might look like of, the risk reasons and summaries, next steps of what a CSM might have entered within a Gainsight risk review. I also would probably want to add NPS or CSAT survey, right, for that week. Any new NPS, any new CSAT survey from key customers, what was the score, past responses, all of those things. So I'll probably want to add in something around NPS and CSAT. Next thing I want to add in is any type of escalation or support log. I'll put in my escalation, my key customers, what was that key case? Is it resolved or is it in progress? These are some things I want to know, right? What's the severity of that? The next two reports that I'll probably want to add in is going to be something around this, customer health and usage metrics. Obviously, from a CCS point of view, customer health is important. So I'll put in the account name, what's their adoption, what's the trend, health score, any key observations. These are going to be really important. And then lastly, I'll put in some pipeline information, right? In terms of opportunities that are coming up in renewals, what's their current ARR, the renewal date, what's the stage, any associated risks, and next steps of what's going on. So I want to put in information around pipeline. So for now, we can put in these 5 reports. Again, there's a source of 50. Now I'd probably want to keep it to your most critical reports, right? You don't want to put in 50 as you'll start to spread it out. You might spread it a little too thin, but keep it to your probably 10 or less most critical reports specific to the use case you're looking for. I'd build multiple notebooks for a specific use case, right? Maybe one is more of a executive summary on what I'm about to do post-sale. One is maybe net new. If you're a net new seller, you're focusing on net new. Have notebooks for specific use cases. Okay, so to export this, again, it cannot read Sheets or Excel. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to export it in the file, download it into that PDF file. So download into PDF, and it makes it into a very simple, easy to read PDF that you can then upload. So once I've downloaded that, I'm gonna go back here into the upload area. Let's find my reports, pretty simple. Now, what I'm going to do in the naming convention, as you're going to notice, is I put the date of these reports, and that's for a pretty key reason. As this loads, you'll see that I can actually select different sources. Okay, so as time goes on, you'll probably, to make it a bit easier on yourself, just add these reports. If you start to find there's a flow and reports that you're going to be using regularly on a weekly basis, you can simply either you or an assistant, an EA, a VA, add in the reports and then have the tags for that date. So as you can see in a moment, when we create that audio summary, you're going to only want to click the dates that you want involved. Anything that's checked is going to be part of that analysis and summarization. So only check off the ones that you want. And let's say if you're doing this in a use case like I would be doing it, which is every week I want my exec summary, I'm only going to do it for the weeks. I'm only going to check the data associated to that week, right? Otherwise, you might be looking at old data, which you obviously don't want. So it'd be best practice here to put in some date tags when you're putting in the sources. So now that the sources have loaded, you're going to see I have a couple options here when we look at the interface of NotebookLM. The first thing here is you're going to see I can add a note, audio overview, briefing doc, and a couple other things. So I can chat immediately with this here. So tell me what is the overall summary of the data. So if you want to just chat with the actual data set, it can give you as you can see, big chat of what's going on of the summary. Here's an overview of the data from all the sources, customer health, immediately reading that. And what's great is it links where it's coming from. Where is it actually pulling this data from? Escalation support. There are several high severity product bugs reported. You can see risk assessment, NPS, CSAT. Everything's really broken down to you. Now, as you can see here, I can also save this as a note. What happens now is it becomes a saved note in this right-hand side, the save note section, or you can copy that off if you want to send it in a Slack or an email. You can do that as well. So you have the summary. Now, what I also want to do is do audio overview. This is the component that is really just so exciting. I think going to have a ton of use cases here. It's going to take a couple minutes to load each time, as you can imagine. What's essentially happening is this is actually used more so for creating this mock podcast interface. But what I found is it's helpful to give you a report in that format, but you're going to see in a moment, you can actually interact with these audio hosts and start to ask it more questions in a live format as well. It takes some time, but again, what's great is you have this audio format that you can use for anything, and you start to think about the other use cases here. Think about it in this use case where we're talking about customer information, or the use case where maybe it's in the format of onboarding, or even the use case where it's about executive summaries for your customers, right? If you think about it from the perspective of if you're training or you're in customer success and you have an enterprise level customer, one of the things that's most challenging is actually getting enterprise involvement, right, or executive involvement. So maybe what you want to do is put in all of your information about that specific customer's usage, right? Their adoption, what's going well, their support logs, what they're doing, all of those things. And then you might even want to add things like industry reports, right? As an executive, maybe you want to hear some high-level industry reports. Think about all the things that might traditionally go in your traditional QBR, and now we're going to generate this into an audio format, and we just fire off that audio format to that executive, right? Really exciting. It does take some time to load, so we'll let this keep going. As you can see here, You can continue to chat with it while it's loading if you'd like. I really like this briefing doc that also gets generated here, make it very easy. This gives you an overall, just general overview or summary of all of that data that's being generated. This is very easy to send or email or send as a text. You can see it has quite a lot of information. Here's the briefing doc, customer health renewal risk briefing. Here's the executive summary, churn risk and at-risk account. It breaks it down again. Recommended action, and you can again see all of the places where it is actually going to reference where it's getting that data from. You can see it also reference customer feedback and satisfaction, a ton of information. You can even see the conclusion here, convert to source. Now this is interesting. Whatever you generate here, you can also convert this as a source. It then becomes a source in your source section. You probably wouldn't do that this much in the use case that I'm going through, right? Which is doing it week by week, collating different types of resources to give me a summary, but we'll see. So I'm gonna give it a quick refresh. I find sometimes it does take a minute to refresh generating that conversation. We'll give it another minute here. Okay, there it is. So it took about 3-4 minutes, right? So it's not too hard, not too bad. Now let's play and listen to some of this. This is crazy.
All right, welcome to your personalized deep dive. Looks like you've handed us a pretty hefty stack of reports here. Customer data, surveys, even some risk assessments.
Yeah, classic information overload, right?
Totally. But
crazy. And you'll see that there are two voices. So generally you're gonna see two hosts. You'll see this male and female host talking through this data in a conversational format.
no worries, that's what we're here for. We're going to dig through all of this and pull up those golden nuggets, the really valuable insights about your customer base.
Absolutely.
And just so everyone's on the same page, these reports are all from March 6th, 2025, so everything is super up to date.
Cool. Has the date. It's knowing, like I said, tagging the dates of when the reports were coming in. So this audio generated is from this specific date.
Exactly. So buckle up, because by the end of this, you'll have a crystal clear picture of your customer's health.
And maybe even a few aha moments.
Oh, I love those. Okay, so first things first, I got to get the big picture. How healthy is this customer base overall? Give it to me straight, no sugarcoating.
All right, well, based on the customer health and usage metrics report, it's a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest.
Okay, that's fair. Not uncommon, right?
Right, we often see a whole spectrum of engagement.
Easy.
You've got folks like, for example, Orion Media. They're real power users.
As they're talking, I'm going to go and validate some of this information, right? One of the biggest concerns is, okay, well, you said it doesn't hallucinate, but is it really going to be accurate? So let's validate as they're talking and see if it's being accurate.
Oh, yeah. 85% feature adoption.
Wow, that's impressive.
Incredible. But then on the flip side, you have Summit Holdings, and they're at a bit of a worrying 35%.
That is quite a difference. So I guess what you're saying is we've got...
Okay, so I got it. That's pretty exciting.
Some superstars.
Absolutely.
And then some that need a little extra TLC.
A little love, yeah.
All right, well, let's start with the good news.
Okay, sounds good.
Tell me more about Orion Media. What are they doing that maybe others aren't?
Well, Orion Media is really a fantastic example of what can happen when everything just clicks.
Yeah.
They're not just skimming the surface, they've really embraced the product, even the premium features.
Awesome.
And it's clearly paying off for them.
And it shows, their NPS score from the NPS and CSAT survey data, it's through the roof.
Sky high. Yeah, and it's not just happy customers either, it's directly impacting their bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
That strong adoption has led to high satisfaction, and now looking at the pipeline renewal report, they're already in talks for a contract extension.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic.
They're a true success story.
It's like the perfect customer lifecycle in action, right? High adoption leads to satisfaction.
Wow, that was crazy.
That
Did you see what just happened? So it took the two reports and seamlessly spoke about it in one sentence, which is crazy. It said, hey, their feature adoption here is 35%, and it's showing up in pipeline. They've updated their contract, and they're already in negotiation. That was so crazy. So it took the two data points and analyzed and parsed it and made the connection of feature adoption to how they're doing within the pipeline forecast. This is crazy.
It's growth and renewals.
That's the dream.
I can already see why you pointed it out as an example. But the $1 million question is, how do we replicate this success with other accounts.
Yeah.
Is there like a secret sauce to Orion Media's approach?
Well, one thing that really jumps out is their proactive approach to learning and adoption. They're not just sitting back. They're actively seeking to maximize their use of the product.
I see.
And remember that glowing NPS feedback we talked about?
Yeah.
They specifically called out the support and training resources. So it seems your enablement efforts are playing a key role in their success.
So investing in customer education and support, it pays off.
It really does.
Makes sense. Okay, I'm ready to tackle the other side of the coin now.
Okay.
Let's talk about Summit Holdings. That low adoption rate, I mean, that definitely sends up some red flags.
Absolutely. Summit Holdings is showing all the signs of a customer in distress. Their usage is declining, and their overall health score is, well, it's flashing some warning signs.
And to add insult to injury, the escalation and support logs show a couple of recent outages they experienced. Ouch, I bet that didn't help with their overall satisfaction.
Not at all.
Interesting. So it says they had some outages. Let's see if we can find the outages. What are the escalation support logs? It was Summit Holdings, right? And there was they had a high severity on the 5th, product bug, time to resolve was 48, escalation was needed, major outage. That's crazy. So it was able to find and connect risk to some of the
surprisingly,
escalations.
their NPS score is quite low.
Yeah.
This situation needs immediate attention. We need to get them back on track and fast.
I'm with you on that. And looking at the Gainsight risk review, their low adoption is a major concern.
Definitely.
They're even flagged.
Gainsight risk review is a low concern, a high concern. Yeah, priorities high, recent outages, escalate to product, plan immediate QBR. Wow.
It is a potential churn risk. Yikes. So what can we do to prevent that from happening?
Well, first and foremost, we need to understand what's at the root of their struggles. Was it the outages that triggered their declining usage, or are there some deeper issues, maybe with product fit or a lack of training?
Good question.
A good starting point would be an executive quarterly business review.
An EQBR.
That's what was in the recommendation. So what's great is it's pulling that information of what was recommended and positioning it as a recommendation.
Exactly. This allows you to connect with their leadership, show them you're committed to their success,
This is
and
crazy.
really dig into their concerns.
Right, so it's a chance to get a clear picture of the situation, but from their perspective. Makes sense. So in EQBR, what else should be on the action plan?
Well, in addition to the EQBR, we need to take a close look at those outages. What exactly went wrong? And what steps can we take to prevent them from happening again?
As you can see, I'm not going to drag this out and listen to the whole thing. There's a ton of this goes on for 14 minutes, okay? So I'm actually going to do something interesting now. My favorite feature here is interactive mode. Now, this is in beta. Basically, what's going to happen is it's going to restart this podcast. But what's going to happen is I can now join into the podcast as an interactive guest and ask a question. So let's give it a shot here. I'm going to hit play.
All right, welcome to your personalized deep dive. Looks like
it's
you've
going
handed us a
to kick off. I'm just going to butt right in.
Whoa, did someone just break the fourth wall? Let's hear it.
Hey, thank you so much for going through this data. I actually want to learn a little bit more about, what are the top 3 highest risks and priorities that I should be focusing on, and tell me why those are the highest risks for the week.
Oh, absolutely.
Happy to.
I mean, you're the one steering the ship.
Exactly. So, based on everything, here are my thoughts.
Okay, lay it on me.
The top 3 risks right now, I'd say, are 1, the potential churn from North Star Inc.
Okay.
2, Summit Holdings' low product adoption. And 3, Beta Solutions flirting with competitors.
Those all sound pretty serious.
They are. North Star, they're at a high risk because, from what I'm seeing, their key sponsor just left the company.
Oh, man.
And that always makes things shaky. You lose that internal champion.
Right, and you have to rebuild that relationship.
Exactly. For Summit Holdings, the risk is the opposite.
Okay.
It's internal. Their low adoption and recent outages, it shows a real struggle with the product.
Makes sense.
And that dissatisfaction, it
This is
can lead
crazy.
to them shopping around.
And then Beta Solutions, their risk is, well, an external one.
Yeah, the competition.
They're actively looking at other options. So, to recap, we've got a lost champion,
Correct.
a struggling customer,
Exactly.
right? And a wandering eye.
You got it.
Okay, well, those definitely... Oh, back to our listener. What's up?
Thanks for going through that. That's really helpful. I want to celebrate some wins, right? So any key wins that you can pull out of this week that I can maybe celebrate or shout out?
Definitely. It's important to celebrate those wins.
Absolutely. Got to keep the morale high.
All right, let's see.
Okay.
I'd say Orion Media is a huge win.
Oh, yeah, they're crushing it.
Seriously. Their strong product adoption, their high satisfaction, that's something to celebrate.
Definitely shout out worthy.
And then Brighton EDU.
Tell me more.
They're showing gradual improvements in product adoption.
Okay, progress is always good.
Exactly. Plus, their feedback is mostly positive.
Nice, so they're on the right track.
For sure. And finally, Apex Partners.
Okay.
They've got strong brand loyalty and they appreciate the proactive account management.
That's awesome.
So those relationships are paying off.
All right, so
hey, that's awesome. Can you tell me what CSM I should speak to of who's managing the highest risk here?
Of course, for North Star Inc., that would be Alex Cooper.
For Summit Holdings, it's Lena Wu.
And for Beta Solutions, you'll want to chat with Ryan Patel.
Okay, hopefully that helps you connect with the right people.
And maybe even a few aha moments.
Oh, I love those.
This is crazy. As you can see, that was, can you imagine? I don't even know what to say. I mean, that is a game changer, right? Imagine pulling all that data and having conversations and the time that I save versus being buried in these spreadsheets trying to understand what's going on. As we validated every single time, it was quite accurate when it comes to what it was saying, how it was connecting that information. Insane. So now we looked through this audio format. You can send this out, right? You can share this audio overview. You want to shoot it off to, leadership or another leader, your CSMs, whatever it might be. You can share that off. There's no way to share the interactive mode information for what I've seen so far yet. It only sends the, generated audio podcast that you have. So you can send that off overall. And each time as you add more sources, obviously you'd create a new audio overview which would look at that week's sources. So this is insane. There's so much that you could potentially do here, right? Think about the use cases here. I know this is one of the main uses I would use it. I think there's a massive use case here to totally transform EBRs and account reviews. Right now the format that it's sent in is, you have a 60-minute slide deck trudging through things, super low attendance rate from executive stakeholders. How do we engage them in a more engaging way? I think there's a lot of potential here in utilizing something like this to finally create an engaging format that an executive can listen to. In 10 minutes, they can get all of the top things that they need to know about their account in as you can see, very engaging format. So that's all I have today. You can take a look here and see, how does this actually work? Please follow if you want more information about how we can utilize AI. If you're a revenue leader, if you're in corporate America, you're trying to understand how do I get ahead using AI, using these tools that are moving and innovating so fast, it's so hard to keep up. So follow if you want more of this type of information. Comment below if you can think of other use cases outside of research that NotebookLM could really make a massive difference in.